said a bard's life can often be a hard life, or hill in jail to rove and always move from town to town. And some folk have inquired if ever we grow tired of ranging all around the world and never settling down.
But one should be a little wary of remaining stationary, 'cause comfortable is lovely, but it's not the way we grow. When life starts to unravel, pick up your pack and travel. You'll find a strange serenity in places you don't know. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. You've got no map for showing which direction you are going.
But why start on a journey if you know where it will end?
And once you recognize,
to anticipate surprise, you'll relish every twist and turn that lies around the bend. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee-da-dee-da-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road.
The world has got its demons. There are many reasons why you'd find it harder to be brave than be afraid.
But every life could use some danger. Every friend was once a stranger. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not why ships are made.
Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee-da-dee. A fwit-dee-dee-dee-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. Adventures waiting further down the road.
Let's go!
Greetings, adventurers. Hello, everybody. This is Paulo Garbanzo. We are here tonight just hanging out. We're going to be talking about our game that we ran in New Orleans just 2 weeks ago. I was like, what even happened? I don't even remember. We did the event. We did my final weekend 4 of the Louisiana Renaissance Fair. And then I zoomed home, and then we had Thanksgiving. So that just happened. And then, so I was on the road last week driving home. And yes, Kevin, that was already so long ago. But you're here. I just saw Sally was here, and Sir David is here. Everybody was at my table. Half my table's here. So if you have any questions about things you may or may not have found, I'm here to answer those questions. So we that is something we forgot to do. There was answer some questions of like at the end of the thing, we were gonna like answer yes, best table, of course. Answer some questions that anything that we didn't get or didn't cover or somehow missed during the adventure, but we somehow missed that. So here's your chance. Hi, and everyone else who is here who did not go on our adventure. Obviously, I'm going to just kind of go over some of the stuff that we did, show you some of the crazy things that we had made for the adventure. Fire, more fire, all the fire. We had so much fire. At the very end, everything was on fire pretty much. So yeah, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. Let's see. Let me just run through here some of these comments here because this is Hello Screaming Dragon. And let's see who else is here that I just saw. Yeah, well, I already said hi to everybody else. Sally, Turkey Day was great. That was literally the first time that I have been home for Thanksgiving in 20 years. I've been doing the Louisiana Renaissance. Okay, so aside from the COVID year, I've been doing the Louisiana Renaissance Fair since 2003. Yeah. And I've always done at least week 4. Oh, so you know what? Maybe I didn't do Thanksgiving. Did I do Thanksgiving? Oh, I can't remember. All right. It's been like probably 18 years. Because I used to do just the second half of the fair. The last 3 weeks. Yeah. So I do weeks 4, 5, and 6. And week 4... sometimes a week before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So no, I was always there for Thanksgiving. Oh my God. So yeah, 20 years of spending Thanksgiving usually was with the Hausers. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the Hausers, Bob and Jamie Hauser, big fans from the Louisiana Renaissance Fair, big patrons of the arts and great supporters of us. They used to have a gigantic house that they would allow about, oh my God, sometimes 8 or 9 performers stay at their house, and it was very much it was very crazy. Katie Hauser, of course, a person from this channel, that's her parents, and yeah, so now she grew up. Well, she was 15 the first time, so now she's got to be 25 now, because that's how math works. Anyway, hi everybody. All right, so yeah, well, so tell you what, we'll start off with what we started off with was a great adventure. We had everyone show up, and oh my God, let me tell you how much fun it was that everyone showed up a little early, because I was really worried that like trying to get everybody into their hotel rooms was gonna like delay some things, so kind of had things planned. But so many people showed up the night before, so we got to do a little bit of hangout. I tried to go over all the stuff with the other dungeon masters before it, but then we got a chance to hang out with some people who were already there, and so then the New Orleans Dungeons and Dragons event. There's the Varus impersonation. Oh yes. So what happens was is that we start off the day with just some open gaming as people arrive, because of course, again, hotel rooms start being ready by 2 or 3 o'clock. So we just kind of have open gaming until 4 o'clock. And so that way, you know, the last thing I want people to do is rush. I kind of hate that. So I want everybody to have a great time and feel relaxed. It's a vacation after all. So everybody shows up as they will. Got some open gaming. So of course, if you came the night before, like many of you did, and then you're already available, we played some games. We pulled out the Raccoon Sky Pirates, which, by the way, I've had so much fun playing this game. I've only played it twice because it's kind of an in-depth game. I mean, not too crazy, but it takes a little while. You got to kind of understand how it works and all that stuff. A game for 3 to 6 raccoons. That's Raccoon Sky Pirates. I was at Gen Con, and I walked by the place, and they had it, and I just grabbed it, and I already know it because we already had the scenario kind of plotted out a little bit, which involved possums, and so of course they're trash friends, the raccoons. I was like, oh, I'm absolutely buying this game. So I literally just took it off their shelf and I went, hey, I'm going to buy this game, but if you feel like telling me what it's about, you can. It's not going to change my mind in any way, shape, or form. I am absolutely going to buy this game. So the guy was kind of like, okay. I mean, it's fun. It's great. Does it have raccoons and sky pirates? Then I'm buying it. So anyway, it's a great game. I'll tell you all about it later. Yes. So a little bit open gaming. Then we kind of had our formal, everyone gets there 4:00. Official meet and greet. Everybody kind of just sat down at the tables. So a good 75% of the people who were there last year came again. And so they kind of just, I was like, I should have put the tables in different places because everyone just kind of sat at the same place. It was kind of cute to see everybody just boop, boop, boop. Everybody just sat at the same tables. Which we just kept. It's fine. And then, so then we got everybody situated. We get everybody there. Everybody got their little baggies, dice bags with some money, some coins, and some other things. And so then we had a lovely carriage ride through the French Quarter, and people love their assigned seating. Yes. And hello, Victorian London fog, and Jan Caro. Hello, yes, trash panda hijinks galore. So yes, so everybody gets in, kind of had the opening salvo of hellos, and then we got everybody onto the carriage ride around the bend, just to kind of just give you like, hey, you showed up in New Orleans, you might as well like see it a little bit before it gets dark. And so that was a little bit of a I don't know. I think the carriages are a bit transportative, not just a form of transportation, but transportative in the timing. So the idea is that, we send them off we've arrived in New Orleans, but we're coming back to Magecroft, which is of course the city where the adventure is held. And of course the city that is on Urt, the world that I've created and turned into a hellscape. And so my loving hellscape. So we got everybody back, and then we had our was it the Magic Market first, or was it dinner? No, it must have been Magic Market first. The Magic Market. So everybody got in, and we had in all the best ways. That's remember. Yay! So everybody got some coinage, and then we had a awesome little magic market. So everybody got to buy magic items. We had Lady Thekla selling scrolls and also random chances of drawing a card from not exactly the deck of many things, but a magical deck, which was 50-50 bad, 50-50 good. You had a 50-50 chance of screwing it up. So, but you could spend your money and just get card after card. Great. We had, by the way, and then we had, so that was Lady Thekla, of course, played by the lovely and talented Madame Onsa. And then we had Ned Bluetongue of Magecroft fame, played by Judas, who was great. And he was selling potions, and we had several tiers of potions going up all the way to like the fireball potion, which you could chuck, and then he had some that were just not labeled, and so it was like selling them cheap, because and guess which ones he sold out of first? The Magic Market, the Magic Market unlabeled magic potions, because people love chaos, and it was hilarious. Yes, the market was awesome. Thank you, Sally. Yes, I love because it's a LARP, but we're not like in combat or anything like that. So it's not like you're not having to worry about that sort of thing, but it's like, it's fun. And we had all of 3 tables there in the room at one time. So what I liked was that you might be trying to buy stuff for your party, not everybody there was altruistically out for your party, because there's 2 other parties trying to get stuff as well. They want the best stuff too. So of course, they're buying some stuff. They're thinking, yes. And so Sir David said, Ned slamming cheese poofs and drinking blue swill was hilarious. So a giant tub of cheese poofs. I don't even know what you would call that tub. It's a tub. Giant, like, must have been like a 4-gallon sized thing of cheese poofs, which were provided by Sir David Percival. And but I think, yeah, big plastic jar maybe, provided by Sir David. But I don't think Judas didn't know that. He thought I got them for some reason. And he ate like half of it, just as like a funny, like, he just had it under one arm and he was just chowing down on it. And I was like, I didn't say anything. I thought he'd kind of like talk to Dave about it, and like, I don't know. So I don't know what happened there, but he was like, wait, those weren't, Paulo didn't bring those? Oh. And then he was like, I don't feel so good. He ate like two gallons of cheesy poofs, which is hilarious to me, honestly. Committed to the bit to death. Thank you, Victorian. London Fog there. Yes, I would. Yes, being the last one to buy items was funny as well. Yes, and then yeah, I mean, like, well, yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know how much, like, was it 2 pounds? Because he ate about half of that entire thing. So, like, spatially 2 gallon worth of cheesy poofs. So, I don't know. How did he survive? I don't know. I don't know how he survives on a daily basis. Not my problem, thankfully. But yes. So also we had swinging in for just that night was your friend and mine, Shakespeare Approves, Dan Kostelek, as Milo the Artificer. And he basically had bargain magic items like this guy and some other ones. The wind up, the wind up fireball, which ended up at my table. And basically you grab it and it would wind up and roll out and then explode, which I believe Brennan actually had this one, and he grabbed it and chucked it instead of rolling it. And I was like, well, see how much time you get. And I think he got like a full 6 seconds before it actually exploded. It was great. So like, you can buy some of these, and I had all sorts of other kind of random magic items. I don't know if anyone actually used the knife. But this was the knife of it was feigned death. That's right. So you could stab somebody or yourself and be like, oh no, I've died. And and it was a magic item. So yes. And Sir David got the headband, which of Varus, the one true, a piece of the true headband, I think it was advertised. So your wisdom and intelligence drops to nothing, and your constitution and your strength rise to 20. It was good times. And yes, Flamio to go, basically. Yeah. Just more explosive. So we had a great, and then of course Lady Prue was there to sing songs and sell secrets. So she had a fistful of secrets to sell to any adventurers who might want to partake in some rumors. So I actually, honestly, I loved that too, because like she had, like people were like, wait a minute, you have some information. Information's a good thing. So they started buying all the stuff. And it was great. It was a mad chaos. It was beautiful. We had a great little room, and we just did a little bit of set decoration and some little lights. And I thought it looked fantastic. And for what we could do, it was great. So we had a great little room. Everybody had their little tables in each corner of the room, and then we had about 45 minutes. Which is about what I think that was like the perfect amount of time. And everybody got to go to each table. They bought some stuff. The potions, the cards, the little potion bottles, those were from Louis from Little Empires. So you can get those too. And then we made the stickers ourselves. So they had like different haste and healing and things like that on the bottle. And then of course there was the ones that didn't have any labels at all. And of course those sold the best. Oh yeah, what was it? Oh, I think I have one. It's the so we made these little scrolls. We made for Lady Thecla to sell. So there's a little scroll. And some of them were called Idas, and yes, and that stood for I didn't ask how big the room is. I said I cast fireball. And then of course there's the FUBs. I don't know if you can see that. It's just, yeah, FUB. What does that stand for? It stands for fuck you, buddy. And so basically you roll it out, and it just says fuck you, buddy. And then it has a little lightning bolt on it. So you basically, I kind of imagined that people would you kind of roll it, fire it like a slingshot. Like you kind of and it would shoot off, turning into a lightning bolt. Our table used it for great effect, blasting the giant gelatinous cube. Story for another 10 minutes. But hey, Zarkin. All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. Also, another person who was at the event. So yeah. Over at the other table. So yeah, the other table. Those people at the other table. And all right. Well, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. We're just starting off. We just finished talking about the Magic Market, which I had a great time just setting it up and just watching it, as of course Shakespeare proves ruins the economy. And because I was like Dan, you've got the discount stuff, so you can charge whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But then he was starting to give people back money, and I was like, Dan, you're wrecking the economy, buddy. You're wrecking the economy. Don't just give them just anyway. So one note for Dan next year, but anyway, it was fine. It was fine. It was very funny. And the other table is so did the Magic Market, had a great meal produced by Etienne, who's been our chef now for both events. He's the head chef there at the Provincial Hotel, and I'd say I think he actually likes us. We are imagine if you run events in New Orleans, okay? Most everybody there is absolutely hammered. Especially, if you do a lot of weddings and things like that, they're gonna drink a lot. Now imagine you've got a group of people who mostly, for the most part, just hang around. You have a few drinks, but I mean, you're not getting sloshy drunk. That's, and yes. Yeah. And so he was like, oh my God, you guys are so easy to work with. I was like, I'm not surprised. Very, very easy. Very easy to work with. So they loved us. And yeah, so we had a great time. And Etienne said he was coming to LARF next year. Yeah. Yes. I was like, Etienne, I think I know some people who might be able to get you some tickets. You just let us know. Anyway, so yeah, that's gonna happen. We had some awesome things 3D printed from a few different people actually. I know I just put where'd I put it? I know I just had it here. I got a lovely gift from Sir David. That was where'd I put it? Oh, there it is. Hang on. It was a gifting me a lovely dice tower. Look at that. Put the dice in the back. It rolls out, comes out the front, boop, into the little area right there. It's pretty awesome. And hilariously, I got to use it for the giant Cthulhu statue. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the story. Yes, it's awesome, owlbear. And so let's see our story. So once we had our dinner, we started up. We had a little bit of entertainment from Connor O'Crag, the largest leprechaun in the world. Great guy, love him, and you can see him at LARF, of course, and the Louisiana Renaissance Fair. So then we had a little entertainment, and then of course Lady Prue sang a song, and then we started our adventure. And our adventure was basically that the Meowfia, the mystical order of feline familiars, had a job for our players, and basically do a job for the Meowfia, and you kind of you getting good with them, and they'll help you out. So you scratch their back, and they will flop over and roll on their bellies, and then you can scratch their bellies. That's how that works, right? Yeah. Anyway, so they Albert the owlbear. Oh, so they got the job, and the job was to get these 3 crates of off of a mostly sunken boat out in the harbor, and of course, some derelict ship. Of course, it was just 3 crates of tuna, like in cans, and cats can't they just can't be bothered. That's the thing. People are like, well, why don't they just get it themselves? They're like magical cat creatures. I'm like, yeah, but they're powerful enough to not be bothered to do it by themselves. So of course they're just going to get somebody else to do it. They don't care. And and so so of course they hire somebody else to go do it. Let's see. Did the rest of the goodies? Yeah. They all made it home. I haven't actually unpacked 80% of the stuff. I just got a few things to show for tonight's show that I've unpacked, but everything else is actually still packed. Yes, I think. But everything else made it, I think, okay. Pretty sure. I did. They're around here somewhere. Yes. So they do this job for the cats. They go get these crates. And of course, so there was supposed to be a little bit of, and so of course, one of the big things that this whole adventure kind of revolved around, the fox skulls. And if people remember early in Nat21, there were some fox skulls that the players ran into that was gross. Fox skull, of course, one of the other things that the Wizards of Magecroft have created in an effort to make society better, but much like owlbears, it didn't work. So they were like, hey, what do we do with all this trash? We could maybe something will eat the trash. Seagulls eat trash. Foxes eat trash, don't they? So they made fox skulls. They might have made raccoon gulls. Might have been a better idea, honestly, but they didn't. Nope, they just made fox gulls. Half fox, half seagull, all attitude. And just yes, the Voltron fox gull. So yeah, so they were there flying around, but then the real menace was this other party that also wanted to do the job for the mafia. So they fought them. My table fought them to a standstill. I think they wrecked their boat, and then some of the other guys. Okay, table. You guys were paying attention to the one guy, but the stealthy guy, you never even you were like, oh yeah, Og, the leader. He was all, everyone was literally everyone. I was watching. I was like, you're all paying attention to that guy. Okay, the stealthy guy just literally gets away. Anyway, so they come back later, but that's all right. So half the party gets away. Half the party got blown up. That's the opposing party. They do the job for the Meowfia, and what they got in reward were possum pouches, which were basically fanny packs of holding. And now, of course, there was some subtle, maybe not so subtle, I don't know, you tell me, for the people who were there, subtle foreshadowing. Because at Milo's table, we had a sign that said, advertising possum pouches, but then it was scratched out and said, they're sold out. Stop asking me about them. We don't have any more. Blah, blah, blah. And so there was a little bit of foreshadowing. So of course there was well, wait, what's the possum pouch? And, and he's like, don't ask me about it. So yes. Oh, good. Quad Kevin was paying attention. And, we were like, oh yeah, absolutely put something on the table, but we're just gonna put a little taste in their mouth, just a little. And yes, the Viking Leonin doing the good. You got the goods, the cat people, of course. Yes. So they get these pouches, and they're like, oh man, these are so cool. Well, of course, these were magical and in a bad way because they were super cool. They had a curse on them that anybody who saw them also once won. You fail your wisdom check and you're like, oh my gosh, these are the coolest, latest thing. Everybody's got to have them. Oh my God, where do you get them? Blah, 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 blah. So everybody's falling in love with the possum pouches. Now, I think my party actually managed to mostly avoid. I think everybody made their saves, which, by the way, I think they were 15. It was a DC 15. Anyway, I don't know how y'all made it mostly, but anyway, most of you did. Some of you didn't. And of course, yes, it was it wasn't the barbarian that failed. It was, 2/3 of the party. I think two of the members of the party got affected. Everyone else was fine. And it was pretty much through the line through all the other tables as well. And for those of everybody who doesn't know, we played the same scenario at each table, but we kind of changed. Everybody had a little bit of something different. Might have switched around some little things at each table, just so we weren't doing the exact same thing, but mostly the same. Big story arcs were the same, but then we wanted to change little things inside to be well, this links to this, but if somebody else's table, maybe that guy was actually against the party, and then at my table, that guy's for the party or whatever, So we had a little switchy up a little bit. So let's see. They got the pouches. Most of my party wasn't affected, but a couple of them were like, "Oh, these are super cool and these are awesome, and I love them." And then as they're kind of going, "Oh, do we want to wear something cursed?" And of course, they're like, "Yes," but some of them are like, "I don't know." So if you were cursed to love the possum pouch, you wanted to wear it proudly to show off your new fashion, and you just felt like you were super cool and super awesome, and everything was great with the world when you're showing off your possum pouch. So they go back to the tavern, and they're like, yeah, possum pouch. And then some people are like, ooh, possum pouch. Wow, where'd you get a possum pouch from? And then they meet Awesome D Possum, a very large possum who can talk. And of course, they were like, hey, buddy, those possum pouches, they're actually made from possums. And most of my family has been killed by the evil makers of the possum pouches. So he gives them the whole story about how possum pouches are made by an evil spell from the Apossonomicon. And they should destroy the Apossonomicon. And then I think someone in the party was like, well, wait, if we destroy the Apossonomicon, we'll be the only people with possum pouches. And then it'll be limited edition. Yeah. So it wasn't through altruism that they were going to destroy the Apossonomicon. It was through literally just wanting to be so ahead of the fashion trend that they were the fashion trend. And the Apossonomicon, thanks, I hate it. Oh, yes. Oh, it was absolutely gross. And then, of course, people see it, people love it, people want it. They go to the factory that was making possum pouches, and now possum pouches have been turned into such an amazing thing that they're already all the dungeon masters, we all talked about this, and like Judas, he wanted to do like this whole thing where there's like factory, like it's like amazing, like a kind of like a Disneyland-esque tour, like Small World After All, where you're like in a cart and you like run around. And I was kind of like, it's like, well, you can do that. What I wanted to do was like, the people who made the possum pouches have been forced to give tours because of the curse. They're like, this was an unseen drawback. Like, oh my God, I didn't know I was going to have to like give tours of the factory, because that's not my goal. I just want to make possum pouches and make tons of money. And Adventure stabbed over limited edition possum pouch. more on page 2. That's right. Yes, don't stab the possum pouch though. And yes, and yeah. So yeah. So that was kind of like a little difference in my world. They were like, this was an unforeseen bad thing. Like they were like, oh, how do we handle this? And there was definitely kind of a like, oh, we don't want to do it, but other DMs handled it differently. So that was kind of, I do like to give, like the bad guys, like don't get everything perfect, like the adventurers don't get everything perfect. And I like my bad guys to also like, I don't know if it's sympathy. I don't know. You tell me, people, you were there. But I do kind of like to have this like, well, he messed that up. So, I mean, clearly he can't be that bad, right? Of course he is, but anyway. Well, I want the undead possum pouch now. Yes. So that was the thing. The pouches were actually taken. You take a possum and you rip their marsupial pouch out of them, cast the spell over it with the Apossonomicon, and then sew it back together, and you get possum pouch. Yeah. So so that was terrible. And they and of course it's just playing undead. Yes. So was that that was the end of that was the next day. So we ended it with the first day we ended it with the mission complete. And then this was day 2. But so what else did we do on the adventure? We went over to the Apothecary Museum, and which was cool, very interesting. Well, yeah. And of course it was like, this is what Ned's potion shop looks like, because we actually went to the Apothecary Museum, the pharmacy museum in New Orleans, and it was awesome. I have to say, so I just really love that. But maybe so my mom used to be a pharmacist, and well, of course you burn the factory down. My mom used to be a pharmacist, and I grew up with, I mean, when I was a very, very small child, she used to work at like the local pharmacy. And back then, local pharmacies also had like the sandwich shop there. Like, I don't know how many other people even remember these, they Walgreens now, they don't have anything like that. But it had like a whole sandwich shop. You had the soda fountain, you had the malts, you had hamburgers, and sounds like I grew up in the 50s, but they continued to have these until into the 70s and maybe to the early 80s, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. It's a thing of the past. But I found out the reason it exists at all is because of Prohibition. Yeah, crazy town. The reason that they exist, that the reason that you would have food at a pharmacy is because the only place you could get alcohol was the pharmacy. You could get a prescription for alcohol, so you could legally continue to drink. It's like, yes, the pharmacist said I needed 3 shots of whiskey, and there you go. So crazy town. And yeah, so like then they were like, well, you got to get some sodas to like, offset. You got to have some mixer basically for all that whiskey. And then you're like, hey, the pharmacy's like, well, now you got all these people hanging around taking shots of whiskey. What if we serve them some food? And oh, you need some food with those drugs. And then like, well, we supply the food and the drink, and it's like all inclusive. And suddenly you have an entire sandwich shop at your pharmacy. It's not ridiculous. It's like, of course, right? It's just kind of like one thing spawned into the next thing, and there you go. So I think it was, I never put that together, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, Nina Lee. All right. Just more people at from other tables here. So yeah, so I always found that intriguing. And then what did we find out also? That the song about Lydia the Pink is a real person. Lydia Pinkerton, a real person who developed a real drug, I guess. She developed like, kind of like Coca-Cola, but I guess it was like for health and stuff and things. I don't know. But it's a real thing. Sung at Ren fairs all the time. Real person. Bam. Lydia the Pink. Yes. How about a soda to go with your whiskey, and then a sandwich, and maybe a soda with cocaine in it? Yes. Non-regulated. And which, now here's the thing. So there was a soda. So in that building is a soda fountain from the 1800s, from the late 1800s, and it didn't have Coca-Cola on the thing, but it did have it had root beer, it had orange syrup, orange soda, it had cherry soda, it had some other sodas. And you're like, so like there were some like orange syrup tonic drinks going around the mid 1800s. 7-Up used to have lithium in it. Whoa. I did not know that. Was it good? I don't know. Was it delicious? I hope so. I mean, I get, right? Isn't that, no, wait. What's the thing that people take lithium, don't they? Some people do. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. So yeah, so we went there. Then we break for lunch, and then we got back to our game. And of course, they did. In fact, my players did. I think almost everyone burned down the factory. They found the wizard. They found a wizard who didn't have the Pasanomcon. Can't make it that easy. the wizard had a copy of the page from the Necronomicon, the Apostolnomicon, which had the thing for the opossum pouches. And by the way, again, everybody who was there, if you have questions about little details, let me know, because there were tons of things that like all three of us dungeon masters talked about, and then like some things never happened. Some things we really wished had happened, and like no one ever went down that path, and we were just like, huh, okay, I guess we'll just move on to the next thing. So as it happens, I never did take my entire notebook and throw it over my shoulder, which I know some of you are probably waiting for. But you were surprisingly on track, I have to say, surprisingly on track. There was a few paragraphs where I just went, and they just skipped that whole thing. But yeah, for the most part, you guys managed to like do the path. I know, right, Ren Mom? Like, I know. How did they stay on? We just throw so much at them fast and furiously that they just, what was the goose supposed to do? So, yeah. So, okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. So they found out. So they talked to so my table didn't kill the wizard. They were gonna kill him, but they didn't. And then they found out that the wizard was he's like, look, man, I'm just doing this because I owe this guy money. And yes, Geese are chaos. Hey, Ick the Troll, how's it going, buddy? Hey, just wanted to say that saw the pictures of your cat. All my love. But yes, we tried and failed. I'm just looking at the comments here. Yeah. Well, and I mean, okay, limited time frame. I mean, people wanted to be in. I mean, sort of, maybe. I don't know. Like, lithium is a mood stabilizing medicine used to treat things like mania and bipolar disorder. So people who drink it, I don't know what happens to them, but okay. I mean, if you just so sorry, earlier comment. I know we just had a bunch of people show up. We were just talking about sodas from the 1800s, and then the fact that 7-Up used to have lithium in it. And yes, I thought lithium was used for some things. Mood stabilizing medicine used to treat things like mania and bipolar disorder. And now batteries. You can have an electric personality with lithium. So anyway, yeah. So my team found out that. Oh, by the way, so it was so the vampire baddie is the sub bad guy, Nicholas C. Magoose, Nicholas Cage. The C stands for Cage, Nicholas Cage. So what was he? He was just a foil. He was just there to like, what was the goose supposed to do? So Nicholas C. Magoose was literally just a vampire goose. Why not? I think that came from the brilliant mind of Judas, who was like, I just like, not like, he was like Scrooge McDuck, but Magoose. So that's where, if you want to know where like people's minds, like how they find things like in the Matrix, and they're like, well, I kind of want him to be like Scrooge McDuck, like because he's rich, because he's making the possum pouches, but he's not a duck. We can't steal Scrooge McDuck. That's a name that's, copywritten. What about Magoose? And then I was like, well, by the way, we are going to this. We are going to go to the canonical vampire goose. Exactly. Sucking on a battery will stabilize you. FAFO, I guess. Yeah. So it was like, why not? And now I think Judas was like, he's an actual goose. And I was like, my guy's just going to be named McGoose. Maybe he's a goose. Maybe he's a weregoose. He's definitely a vampire. I don't know. We each had kind of our own little different things there, and yeah. So but that's where Judas went. I think Judas actually had his guy was a goose. I think my guy's was just a guy, but like kind of a weregoose maybe. But then he was also a vampire. That's right. Yes. So Judas was yes. Judas made it a goose. He was a goose. So they found out that this is where the game turned evil. So they find out that the Apostanonomicon is in the crypt of McGoose. Now, here's the thing. The wonderful world of Magecroft. The creepy garden district is where the vampires live. They live very fashionable garden district-y lives. Jan the vampire lives there. The HOA is the worst. There's literally a darkness spell cast over the entire garden district, like several multitudes of magic, of darkness spells, so that the vampires can go out in the day if they want to, but they usually don't. They don't tend not to, but which, by the way, I mean, good way to possibly kill vampires if you can dispel magic over the top, if they're out, but you have to get them out. Anyway, it's just there to keep the mood, really. It's not really there to... Gotta sleep sometime as a vampire. Anywho, I'm getting off the track. On the track, though. So most of the undead live in the necropolis, which is where undead go to unlive. Vampires live in next door in the creepy garden district. It looks just like the garden district in New Orleans. It's just creepier, and more vampires live there. I don't know how many vampires you think live in the garden district currently, but more, like 100% of the population is vampires and their thralls and things like that. So yeah. Anywho's, they still, like New Orleans, have little areas where they keep their crypts. And those crypts are really just storage units for the most part, because they just live in their house because they're vampires. They're fashionable. Why would you have a little crypt? But you have a crypt, maybe a little family crypt. Maybe some of your vampire families have actually died and that's where you put them. But it's mostly like storage units. So they keep a lot of stuff there. And so McGoose had managed to create a eyesore of a crypt in the center of all the other crypts, and that was how we linked it with the actual cemetery tour that we did. Which, by the way, we went to the cemetery tour on Thursday morning. We went to the Lafayette No. 1 cemetery, which is where Marie Laveau. Whoa, can't remember them all, but I'm not plugged in. Haha, sorry guys. There's people who were in the War of 1812 and the Battle of New Orleans, things like that, and many other very important people there. But also, who has a crypt in the center of that cemetery is Nicolas Cage. He's not dead yet, but he did make a big, giant, controversial pyramid in the middle. Hey, Beans, of this, and that's kind of where we got the idea for like this whole thing. Hey, buddy. Oh, who needs a cat? We do. Oh, give me this guy. Yeah. Who is the loveliest? This guy. Oh. We got Beans. Beans, the big good guy. He's just... If Beans was in D&D, he would be a human fighter, I guess. You got the beans. That's right. Yes. For those of you who don't know, this is Halloween Road Score. You can guess when and where we found him. And he's been living it up ever since we got him off the streets. And he had the worst breath. Oh, yes. Full of parasites. Yes. But now he's just the biggest, floppiest cat. You could play this cat like an accordion. He just doesn't care. He just... Actual footage of Space Cat. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Right? Right? Well, Kashigi. Cat Shigi. That's right. That's right, buddy. You're Cat Shigi. All right. So we went to the cemetery. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Whoosh. So we went to the cemetery. That's where we got the whole idea for that whole thing. So they found out that the Apostlenomicon was in the Creepy Garden District in the cemetery of Magoose's crypt, which we made as like this like terrible. It was like it was twice as big as everybody else's, and it was just horrible. And they heard rumors that there was dissent within the HOA, that there was people who didn't like it, and so they went over there and they found out that somebody from the committee, Jan, hang on, I'm gonna let this cat out. He wants freedom. Freedom. Go on. Get out of there. Freedom. So they found somebody from the HOA who was there, and they were like, "Oh, would someone like to go down to the department and solve our problem? Take this form down to the Department of Public Crypts and have it voided." And this was where the mad genius of Judas came in. He I blame Judas for this one. He's like, "I love this. It's Kafka-esque. It's beautiful. I love it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So basically they had to deal with the bureaucracy that is undead, vampire, petty HOA bullshit. And so I don't know how. I know Dave's table was like about to kill Dave. My table did not suffer bureaucracy too much. Brazil core, yes, it was very yes. They got past the first couple of things. They got past the first couple of nightmares, and when they first started to run into like the real bullshit, they were like, "No, F this. We're gonna go find something else. Like, we're gonna find some other way to get this done." And they just bulldozed their way into it and did it. So we had an awesome battle. Things exploded. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a pretty cool boss fight. Basically, they had this person who had the void stamp, but would refuse to stamp their paper for them. And all I had to do was actually just get it voided. And once it did, the magic would take place and destroy the crypt, that they could then pull the things out of it. And so they ended up fighting him. That's right. That's where Sir David grabbed someone else. The other was it Shannon's character, and she was holding the paper and managed to. Shannon tried to swipe the void stamp and missed, and that's when Sir David grabbed and managed to get the paper stamped. Some people fell through into the gears of bureaucracy, so the fight took place in this room that the floor fell away, and all it was it was gears of bureaucracy is what that was. And so we have a couple of players got chewed up. A couple of my players got chewed up in there. Yes, Cedric got voided so many times he aged 29 years. Oh, yes. Yes, Zarkin, love Dave, love Judas. Absolutely hated that. Yes, I was super curious. I was like, how long is each table? Because I was like, my table not going to put up with this at all. Like, I know Judas has run that certain scenario several times, and so I think he has like a really good finesse over like how to like pull the proper response out of the table. And I was like, oh, David's table is not gonna like this at all. So they got the fight, they got the book. Oh, they run back to the cemetery, and they pull the Apostolomicon out with all the vampires there, like cheering it on from the HOA. And then they started to get chased by Magoose and all of his buddies. And so Awesome D Possum. Oh, and by the way, I gave you guys a sled. So there was a chalice and a sled and the Apostolomicon in the thing. Now so in every table, everybody had a Apostolomicon. Then we all had like, we get to decide what the other things were. Like, let's put a few other things in there. And I put a sled, and my sled said Rosebud on it, just to be that guy. And you guys my players never got on their sled. It's a magic sled. I'm not bitter. So the party runs through the sewers to try to give me PTSD. Yes. PTSD. Yes. Hi, Clock and Awesome. Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, you gotta see. Okay. I'll get to it at the end. So anyway, Magoose shows up. They're like, oh my gosh, he's the other vampires are like, not our problem. He did it. That's the guy. Those people, they destroyed your thing. We just happy that he destroyed them. So Magoose was like, F you guys, and came after him. They run through the sewers and to try to get back to the other side of town. Now, what they have to do is they have to throw the Apostolomicon into the dumpster fire of destiny. And of course, the dumpster fire of destiny. 3D printed. I don't know if you can tell that it is actually glowing in that. Wait a second, turn this off. Oh, dumpster fire of destiny. Oh. Anyway, green glow of toxic slime. There it is. Anyway, dumpster fire of destiny. And we're back. All right. So, dumpster fire of destiny. They had to climb to the top of Mount Trashmore, and and throw it into the fires of the eternal dumpster fire. Oh, good. Yes, you did take the sled. All right. Yes, and the chalice. I love that Cedric is coming back as an 80-year-old necromancer villain. There, so the void stamp aged him so many times. Yes. Oh, mark my words. All right, we'll see you there. Dumpster Fire of Destiny, and so I had these 3 printed by a friend of mine who was not on the trip. Oh, and Justin, now that you're here. So I had Justin 3D print me some fire, right? A whole bunch of fire, which I used many of them. Little boats, a few other things. Oh, and the fox skulls, and the medium-sized fox skull, and the tiny fox skulls. And so, yeah. I mean, they're basically griffins, but fox skull, you know. And then, but I had another friend of mine 3D print the dumpsters, the final boss fight, because not only did they have the dumpster fire, but of course, in the dumpster was the biggest fox skull of them all, the mother of all fox skulls. See the fox tail, the seagull wings. Yeah. And so I had somebody else 3D print all those for me because I didn't want to give it away, Justin. You can't know everything about everything. So yes. So they climbed Mount Trashmore and swirled all the way up to the top of the mountain, discovering that the true fire of Mount Trashmore was the friends you made along the way. Yeah, because yes, yeah. This was 3D printed, as was this guy, and see, I had to keep it a secret from you, Justin. Clicking awesome. I had to keep it a secret because I couldn't let you know everything. So yeah, and So success in my book. Yes. So turns out the acidic breath weapon of the fox skull was the actual eternal dumpster fire. And now my party managed to slay the giant fox skull, but the thing is, like a phoenix, it came back again. And you can't kill it. It basically turns into a baby one and then comes back, and it's the eternal. That's why it's the eternal dumpster fire of destiny. You can keep killing it. It's just going to come back. Anyway, this was the one true method of actually trying to destroy the trash. This was the founding fox skull. It was the giant acid spewing fox skull. It's imprinted on the druid. Oh God. Yeah. So yeah. And that was the way that's what keeps trash down in the Trashmore. Mount Trashmore, of course, located directly in the Rambles, and it's where kind of it's the bottom valley. It's where all the trash just ends up, and it is literally a giant trash heap with a giant dumpster on top. So yeah, and now you want in again? Cats. Hang on. Yeah, I know. Sure, whatever, dude. Yeah. So, then of course we took everyone to the Renaissance Fair. So, all right. So Friday, the sled. The sled's a magical sled. It basically keeps getting bigger the more people get on it. So like it basically takes a whole party. You just get on it. There's always room for one more. And then it basically can take on any downhill slope. Snow, trash, whatever. I was really expecting you guys to try to slide down the mountain, but it's all right. Better luck next time. Yeah. So, because who doesn't want an out of control sled ride to top off every adventure? I know I do. So yeah. Maybe Cluck and Awesome can 3D print me some sleds that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Just one person wide. It just keeps long. Magic. What are you gonna do? Yeah. So yeah. So we are. So what did we do? So we finished the adventure. We modular sleds. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just you can make me like 8 of them. So we just have the 1 person, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Always room for 1 more. Modular sleds. So if you do have secrets about the scenario or questions about the scenario, I can answer them. I know that several of you here were there, so you might have some might have some questions, and I might have some answers. We finished the night with the final battle. We then had some entertainment. We had dinner, and then we had open gaming again into the night. For anybody who still had the energy, but we of course got up pretty early in the morning to go to the fair the next day. I think everybody had a great time at the fair. We had special seating for the joust. We had seating at my show and at Judas's show, and of course Shakespeare's show. And I do want to add that the seating that I had for you guys. So last year that seating was okay. I did not realize that they had cut down a bunch of trees behind all the buildings. And I was like, why is the sun so bright? It should be behind the trees. And it was not. And it's because there's a brand new parking lot for the Louisiana Fair. And they cut down all the trees over there. And so now it's like, oh my God, now the sun is insane. So I apologize. I would not have put you guys there if I had realized what in the world was happening over there. But yeah, so that reminds me that I need to send a little message to your friend and mine, the Gloom Master, who is the entertainment director at the Louisiana Fair. Oh, Nat21. What are we doing? All right. So the question, how dare you? You're going to have to be more specific about the daring because yeah, I mean, I dare. So yeah, how dare I found the audacity. I don't know. Did it make juggling fun? Absolutely not. Yeah, right in my face. But actually it was more, but see, by the end of the day, it was more in your faces and not mine. So although I was kind of sideways to it, you guys were looking right into it. And I was just like, no, which is the point. Honestly, that is not what you want anytime. You never want that. So my apologies. Then met everybody back over at the, yeah, that's right. Because then we had one more dinner together because I'd gotten a room at the hotel for Saturday night. So then we had one more night with everybody, and we had dinner with most of the crew, and we had a great time. Of course, Lady Prudence had to go back to Carolina for the closing weekend of the Carolina Fair, yeah, and then of course we had the last day for me at the Louisiana Renaissance Fair on that Sunday. Kevin was there, and I think most everybody else had taken off or heading back home. And yeah, so that was our event. Yeah, again, if you have any other questions, let me know. We had a great time, and I think I mean we're looking at doing it again next year, and it would be the same time. So it'd be that that between the 3rd and 4th weekends of November. So it's going to be the week before Thanksgiving. I mean, I can't tell you too much. We're gonna do. There's more of the things you want. I'm hopefully, my fingers crossed, we'll have Shakespeare as one of our dungeon masters. We'll get Judas and Dave back, of course, but we might have Judas. I'm sorry, we might have Shakespeare. We might have. There's a possibility. I am trying so hard. So they're going to be at the fair. So if they're going to be at the fair, then I might be able to get them to be dungeon master. So we'll see if I can get. There's so Handler Z and of course the Gloom Master. They are very busy, but they're very little child. So I don't know. We'll find out close to the date if they have time to come down. I was trying to get them to come down and hang out for some of the open gaming. Yeah. So maybe Adamo Ignis, maybe Shakespeare. Just kind of depends on who comes next year, and of course, again, lining it up with everyone who's working at the fair. So, because that's the only way to do it. So yeah. Woo! I'm making an England trip. Do it. Would love to see you there. This is me wondering if you've been banned from going to England. I think we had that conversation, didn't we? All right. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. We're, like I said, we're just kind of like making the plans. We did hear that people from Dave's table are longing to see if we've got mechanics. No. The mechanisms to run a joust, like as far as like in game, and I dare say Dave does. So we were looking at having some sort of game where there might be a joust involved, and the players can jump in and be part of the joust. Let's see, our flight's refundable. You're talking about England? You can. I know that you can buy flights that are refundable, but you pay extra to get a flight that's refundable, but you don't get the refundable part back. You just get most of the flight back. I think you have to pay like a few $100 to have a refundable flight, which what does that even mean? Do you need refundable flights? I don't know. Message me later, Kevin. Sins of the father, and yes, that's right. Bum bum bum. Don't get banned from England. It's one of the only other. Well, so anyway. Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah. So we're working on our adventure first of all, working on the adventure for the upcoming England tour, in 2025 in July. Back to Muncaster Castle. We had an amazing time, and again, I feel like this will be our fourth England tour. Now this was just recently our second New Orleans event, so our third New Orleans event, and it will be our fourth England tour. Sorry, 2015. I don't know what year it is. At the Ren Fair, it's 1497 or whatever. So I couldn't tell me. But yeah. So working on that thing. It's funny because, like I said, so I think it took everybody. It takes a little time for people to realize, unless they're a place that runs gaming conventions, they just don't understand what we need and what we don't need until we're actually there. And even after I've explained it many times to people what we need, they just don't get it until they actually see us there actually doing our thing, which is mostly just sitting around at a table and talking with each other and having a good time. And they're like, oh, I get it now. You just want us to stay out of your way. Oh, you know. You know. So that happens. And yeah, so now that they've got it, now that like even the castle in England, they're kind of like, oh, okay, you know, they've set up a whole room to be our tavern inside the castle, which is awesome. Which, by the way, is on my, I'll put it on my other Facebook thing anyway. Ooh, they're thinking, yes, absolutely. Whereas we're a bunch of nerds who love to play games. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what happens. Yeah, and also like in England, you know, the castle, which by the way is full of antiques. I'm like, we're probably the only people that I would trust in a room full of antiques. And I'm not even kidding. Like the place was so, it's first of all, there's parts of the castle that are a museum. So they certainly have antiques. But they have so many antiques. You can't, every room has antiques in it. It doesn't matter if it's just part of the castle. Like the part of the part that where they live in it has things that are antiques that are amazing. And honestly, I'm like, this should be in a museum. And Ewan is like, this is a museum. Right. So yeah, so there's like yeah, there's a really cool thing happening there. We should do a Salem, Massachusetts Destination D&D. Oh, and have Judas run a wild, creepy narrative. Yeah, that would be super cool. I think I have to find out what their schedule is because I think they are doing something. I'll find out if there's a place to do it. I don't know. Give it a try. Let's find out. When I was doing the Pennsylvania Fair, I was trying to get an event happening over there, but I don't do that event anymore. So. But oh my God, you should do the Maryland Fair. Oh my gosh, we could do something in the Maryland Fair. Oh, girl, that'd be awesome. So, yeah. I mean, believe me, I would love to do it everywhere. So you just let me know if you find a good venue for it. All the thumbs up. So yeah. But yeah, so you know, but now the castle knows what's going on. Like they literally took a whole room and just made it the tavern, which is great. And it actually is the place where the servants used to just hang out and chill. So it basically was a tavern on the castle grounds. Like it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And then yeah, and then we'll be working on the scenario for next year. So yeah. Yeah. What do we got here? Yes, don't break anything. Well, that's the great thing. I mean, that again, like the room that we were playing in the castle, it still had antiques in it. Like they had a mantle with antiques that, and I was like, you sure you want to leave this in here? And they were like, we don't have anywhere else to put them. Like, we just don't break it. I was like, thanks for trusting me. You have, I mean, I have insurance, but I hope you have more insurance. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I was thinking about what if I mean, I don't know, it'd be a lot of work, but everybody's talking about doing events, but what if we did just a weekend thing at a Ren fair where it was basically like Friday, I mean, it'd be a lot of work for anybody who was performing at the fair, but Friday night game, Saturday night game, God, maybe even a Sunday night game. But that would be I'd say that would be a really, really tough weekend. I'd want to hire other people who were not working at the fair because that would be very tiring. But yeah, just don't break it. No big deal. Yeah. What was it? Juggler in a museum. So reminds me of the story. I did a show in Italy underneath in this giant ballroom in a palace, and the chandelier was this gigantic, and it was like the size of a Volkswagen Bug. No, it was almost the size of a Volkswagen bus, honestly. It was huge. And it was a chandelier of Venetian blown glass from the 1400s. And I was like, I knew what that was because I studied art. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I was like, is this Venetian glass from Murano? And they were like, yeah, it's priceless. I was like, oh, I know. And my juggling partner was like, we should juggle right under this beautiful chandelier. And I was like, we're not juggling anywhere near that chandelier. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Because, like, when you say something is priceless, that means that the only way to replace it is to get a time machine, go back in time, find the missing pieces, bring them back, and replace them. That is literally the only way. And currently, that technology is very expensive. So expensive that no one I know has it. So, good times. So, but yeah. Let's see. What are we doing? Harf used to advertise one. I think that might have been us advertising it, but we were trying to make something happen. Then COVID happened, so bleh. Yeah. Action cries in Oregonian. Yes. So yeah. I don't know. I have a very busy schedule already this coming year. So I don't know. Maybe we could do a little tiny event. Maybe a little tiny event. I don't know. Maybe like a one night. Maybe we could do like a Friday. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind doing that. Oh man. I mean, that would be easy. That would be easy. Like an early Friday, so that if the game ended by like 10, then because I'm old. I'm tired. I could do 4 40-minute workouts each day right after that. So I can't stay up too late on Friday, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. I guess everybody just meet up at a hotel. I don't know. A cool hotel. All right. Yeah, well, all right. Well, so let's see. Questions, comments about the event. I'm surprised not to see more questions about some of the things that happened. Let's see. Oh, we had a whole. Here's something that never ever happened. Like nobody tried to make friends with the crazy cat people. And oh, thank you, Sally. This is just hair dye. Don't yes. Let's see. Yeah, so but thank you, Sally. Quad Kevin, what happened in the sewers if we went into the room? There was a lot of offshoots from that sewer fight that could have happened. There was also, so my party went off in they the goblin Skix, he failed his mission, so he was like not feeling his goblin self, and so he went on a goblin quest, and then they ran back into him at the Mount Trashmore completely naked. So that was fun. We had the sewers. We had some other side quest things. You didn't like. You could or could not have dealt with the pathomancers at all. Pathomancers had lost an artifact in the sewers, and like you guys could have just skipped right over those guys and just been like, just told them to screw off. You got other things to do. But I think everybody actually ended up helping them out. So that was good. Yes. That's right. I do recall that. I recall that. Let's see. What are we brainstorming for next year? Well, Dave's table. Here's where we're going. Dave's table wants a joust, and I was like, Moops is already a thing. And Moop, the Moop Rodeo is also a thing. It's also canon. So I already have all that backstory about Moop Rodeos. And so we could easily add in Moop Jousting. And so like a whole Moop thing. And we have some ideas. We got some ideas about all those things. So the whole narrative. So I can't really tell you the narrative. It might change at this point. At this point, we have I have a vague idea of what we could do, but it might all change by next week. So at this point, just think Moops, Moop Chili Cook-Off, Moop Rodeo, Moop Bumper Cars, Moop Jousting. Moop Family Dynasty Assassinations. So basically in Magecroft there are several families that own the majority of the Moops. So of course they have this family dynasty, leatherworking and wool production and all of those other things that you get. Nothing but Moops all the way down. It's Moops forever. And so we were like, oh, wouldn't it be really great if each of the tables is hired by a different family? So okay, this is what I want to do. Now, whether or not this even happens, who even knows? But I think it would be really interesting to have each table gets hired to run security for a different family in the dynasties of the Moop dynasties. You need a Moop STL file. Oh yeah, we do. We don't have one. What does a Moop even look like? Well, you'll have to go into our Patreon. Their stats. But a Moop. So here's the thing. If you are driving down a country road and you see what you think is a big giant hay bale wrapped in white plastic, that's actually a Moop. Yeah. So a Moop is the size of a giant cow, but it also is covered in wool. So it is the one animal that wizards have put together, the combo, like owl bear or fox gull. It is the one thing that the wizards have put together that actually benefits humanity and all of society. It's the one freaking thing. They produce loads of milk. They produce meat. They produce wool. They have horns you can use. Look, you can use every piece of the Moop. That's the thing. You can use every piece of the Moop. No piece of Moop gets wasted. And don't you dare talk about street milk. Why does everybody hate street milk? It is an important part of a daily diet. Okay, maybe it's not important to your diet. Maybe it's more important that you avoid it, I think. Yeah, Sally has a moop. She actually got from yes, we have yes. Milk comes from all sorts of places: caves, streets, tentacles. Street milk. It's really important that I never hear of it again. Street milk. It makes an orphan's life better. Is that their advertisement? It makes an orphan's life better. Yeah. So that's I'm thinking that like every table gets hired as security for the Moop rodeo extravaganza, where it's canon that I don't know if you're familiar with the Palio, which is the horse race that runs in Siena. It's been running for several hundred years. Each neighborhood puts up a horse and a rider, and even to this day, the competition is so fierce that they will hamstring their opponents. They will kidnap the riders. They will bribe the riders. They will do all sorts of things to try to win this race. And part of the competition is like actually doing things that are essentially bad, like kidnapping people. Like they literally have to they hire a rider, and then they have to hide that rider from everyone, because he might be susceptible to bribes. He might be susceptible to kidnapping. Susceptible to kidnapping, by the way, is my new band. And so you can look it up. It's the Palio, P-A-L, 2 L's, P-A-L-L-I-E-O, I-E-O. I just spelled it in Italian. P-A-L, I think it's 1 L, P-A-L-I-O, Palio, maybe, or it's 2 L's, P-A-L-L-I-O. Anyway, it's been running for a while. It's hilarious. And so I was just like, well, yeah, of course. So this is the same thing in a city with no rules. Opening. Yeah. So of course, they have, the rodeos, you have your best rider, but then your best rider gets kidnapped, and then you have to find out. And then of course, just assassinating the other family members in an attempt to win over more control over the Moop market. And so I think, things like, being hired as guards seems like such a simple thing. And then suddenly you're like, oh no, you have to be in the rodeo now because our rider has been kidnapped. And then, while the rest of the party goes off to try to, I don't know. And then of course the assassinations and whatnot. Anyway, vitally important that you never hear it again. Sadly, you're going to hear more about street milk later. Cedric is going to donate off-cut garments to the orphans for the sole purpose to stop them from selling street milk. Listen, you can take a child out of the street mines, but you can't take the street mines out of the child. I don't know. Milk. The children clamor for the street milk. They do. Look, until you come up with something better than street milk, more fortifying, I don't want to hear it. And yes, susceptible to kidnapping, opening for giant sewer mandrakes in concert. I love it. I'm here for this. All sorts of wacky things happen. Like I said, we're just starting to do the foundational groundwork for that. Got all sorts of other things coming up. Yeah. I had a great time. I am dying to, since we had so much fun with the interactive, immersive kind of LARPy kind of effects with the magic market, things like that. I'm dying to do a little bit more of it around the hotel, and now the hotel, like, I think they trust us a little bit more, and so maybe again, it's that thing where it's like, if I could get all of the rooms around like the courtyard booked for just us, then like we could use that courtyard for our own nefarious reasons. And anyway, so yeah, I'm thinking let's do that. All right, well, my friends, I am so thankful that you all came by to say hi. I'm super glad that so many of you came by to say hi and talk about the game. I had a great time. Once again, everybody who was there, send me a message about what you liked, what you didn't like, what thought was worth it, what you thought was not worth it. I'm absolutely open to all the ideas. We can't do everything. I wish I could. But trying to keep the cost down, trying to, what do you sacrifice in order to do more of something else, but also like keep the cost a little down, because some prices went way up. And so I'd love to do it all. We can only do what we can do. But definitely want to hear what you thought was worth it, what was and we'll do more of that. So thanks again, everybody. Let me see. Keep in mind my nitpicks are just nitpicks. Oh yeah. Of course. And again, like, hey, there were things I was like, ooh, we should have done that differently, or we should have done more of that. I honestly, and I mean, obviously, running a game and having everybody, and actually running a game that I know is happening at 2 other tables, and then knowing that different people are going to do different things with the different supplies that they were given. I just love that. Because again, it's not a competition. It's not like we're competing. It's not a convention setting where you're like competing to do anything. But like the problem solving, I love it. It's adorable. Avoid the major football games. Yeah. I think it's gonna have to be the same week as this year, because I will also be missing the last part of the Louisiana Fair next year. I'm getting gotta get a little thing done to my toe, so I have to recover from that. So that's gonna be next year, but that means that next year will be the same time of year. So just mark that on your calendar. But yes, thanks for jumping in the chat. I can't wait to see y'all here. What is happening next week? Next week, I got some things going on, and then I go to that place, San Diego. Ansa and I have an event in San Diego. It's a Krampus event, so I'll be doing some shows. She's got some Krampus art that she's going to be running over there. Some dear friends of ours are going to be there as well and having a great time. And then I run off to Italy. And then I'm running a New Year's Eve tour. That's a quote unquote normal tour. It's a normal tour. There won't be any Dungeons and Dragons. But hear me out, people. Hear me out. I am dying to do a Greek setting. I guess it would be like the mythic Odysseys of Theros, but it would be the island of Cecil. And the thing is, there are Greek ruins. There's Mount Etna where Hephaestus lives. Like, there's literally like Greek history. There's the city of Ortygia where Archimedes lives. Have you guys seen the last Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Indiana Jones movie, the last one where he goes to he goes to Syracuse, where Archimedes lives. Yeah, all that whole everything is true. Some of the locations, I will have to say that was very funny to like see them in Syracuse, and then he turns a corner, and I was like, dude, that I know that street, and that street is in another city that I also happen to know. But I was like, that's not Syracuse, that's Cefalù. But I was like, it's literally, these are iconic streets, which is why they found them, because someone went, ooh, these are cool, cute streets. And then they turn the corner and they end up on the other side of the island. And I'm like, anybody who knows, but anybody doesn't know. But I would love to run like a D&D game that's like a Greek heroes kind of thing, because we could literally be right there. Anyway, you let me know if you're interested in that, and we would do it in like February when the rates are low. It's very inexpensive to be there, and the food is fantastic. Because you know what's in season in February in Sicily? Artichokes, oranges, pistachios are always around, but like the good stuff. Anyway, fennel literally coming out of the street fennel, but the good kind. I'm not kidding. This is really fucking awesome. Just trust me. Fennel is so pervasive in Sicily, it literally busts through the asphalt. You cannot stop it. Okay? And it's the good stuff. Anyway, all right. So yes. Yes, it's street fennel, street milk. It's delicious. Yes. Yes, a Greek mythology setting. And the thing is, the Greeks settled Sicily. That is literally, there's Greek temples lying around. Just lying around. So, yes, we would have a giant fight there because, oh my God, it's perfect. And then they have a giant theater, Dionysus, which, by the way, one of the best examples of Greek theater that is still usable. They still use it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Anyway, fennel flavored street milk. No, no. But yes, I would love to do it. I just need enough people to make it worth it to do it. So I'm just gonna throw it out there every year. I'm just gonna be like, maybe next February. Anyone? Flights are cheap. Dude, we just found a flight. It was like $600. I couldn't believe it. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, sweet. We'll climb Mount Etna. It'd be awesome. All right, my friends. Well, this time I really mean it. I am gonna head out. Thank you all for coming by. Again, check out the Discord. We got all the things happening. We got all sorts of things going on this week here. What do we got? This is more or less our schedule. Right, that was tonight. We got shows all week long as per usual. We got crafting, gothic horror. We're gonna do the show of the week. We got all sorts of stuff happening, and then we'll swing back around to Modern Monday. Lady Prunes. All right, my friends. As always, this is Nat21. When you natural 20 just won't do, you gonna need Nat21. And I'm just gonna hold up this guy because I don't have any dice with me. Good night, everybody.